catch him. ESPN 1000 in Chicago, Jonathan Hood. Excited about today's show because we have an action-packed weekend of professional wrestling coming up. Not only do we have the king and queen of the ring coming your way, depending upon where you live, either early Saturday afternoon, maybe into the morning if you live on the West Coast. Not only do we have Double or Nothing, GCW has an event this weekend in Chicago that we're going to talk about in a little bit with Matt Cardona, the general manager of GCW. And with all this exciting wrestling action heading into Memorial Day weekend, we begin with this question. How many title changes will there be between AEW and WWE? We're putting the combined over-under number at 3.5. And I'll run through the list of championship matches that you have available to pick. We'll start with King and Queen of the Ring, where all we have is Becky Lynch defending the Women's World Championship against Liv Morgan, Sami Zayn against Chad Gable and Bronson Reed in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship, and then Cody Rhodes taking on Logan Paul for the undisputed WWE Championship. So 3 title matches there. Over in AEW, Roderick Strong taking on Will Ospreay for the International Championship. Timeless Toni Storm puts her AEW Women's World title on the line against Serena Deeb. Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black for the TNT Championship in a barbed wire steel cage match. Does the Jericho one count? Are we counting that?
Yeah.
FTW? Okay.
Title.
We'll put the FTW in a 3-way FTW rules match, which I'm pretty sure is just regular triple threat match rules. Mm-hmm. You have that one. You have the Bang Bang Gang taking on Death Triangle for the unified AEW Trios Championship. Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné in the TBS Championship match. And then Swerve Strickland finally putting up his championship title against Christian Cage. Those are all the ones you have to choose from. Where do we go? Over under 3.5 title changes this weekend.
Well, guys, I would say it's over 3.5. And the majority of those would happen in AEW. So Will Ospreay against Roderick Strong.
Change.
That should be part of the last part of the show, but also could be a banger to open up the show. And so I like this rivalry. I think that's one. I think there's a reason why Death Triangle is back, because they want to take the championships away from the Bang Bang Gang. That's why they had a segment on Dynamite in Bakersfield on Wednesday. And I think that Mercedes Moné wins her championship against Willow Nightingale, the TBS championship. And, of course, there's a change because there's going to be a new king and a new queen of the ring. And so that makes 5.
Well, those don't count, the king of the ring. But Triple H did announce today there's a championship opportunity for the winner. He just used the word championship. Didn't say what title, but
he did. No, he did say he did specify the world championship or WWE championship of the brand that you are on.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know.
Wait a minute.
So he did specify that.
But Gabe, on your business card, it does say if you win King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring. It is a title, right?
It's not changing hands.
You just get the crown.
Well, it is. From the office to Jeddah. What do you mean?
That's how it works.
No.
I don't think that's I don't think that's how it works.
So your number then is what, 5? So you're going way over, or 6? Was that?
Well, it would be 5. I chose 3 for AEW and then the WWE King and Queen of the Ring. 2 new titles.
So you're actually going under then, based on
that.
He's
going under.
Yeah,
he is going under. That is correct. That is correct. He is stubbornly, he is saying he's going over, but stubbornly he's going under.
All right. Well, Vegas knows best. That's why the number is what it is. I'm also going under with 3, just a little bit different. I agree, Ospreay, the international title. I think Malachi Black wins the TNT title over Copeland, because I don't think Malachi Black loses too much. And I do think we see a title change in Saudi. I think Sammy drops the IC title to Chad Gable.
Yeah, I think yes. I think Gable, we've heard it for how long? We finally see him backstage talking to the Creed brothers. I think the Creed brothers are going to have a say in how that Intercontinental Championship match eventually ends up going. So that's the only one I see happening in WWE. I also see the TBS Championship changing hands. Like, you're not going to... waiting for Mercedes to make her in-ring debut. She ain't going to lose. That's not happening. I think the FTW championship goes back to Hook because it has to.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, you got to factor that one in. And I think those trios championships ended up changing hands as well.
So they've also been sort of weird about that, whether or not that's an actual title match.
And Ospreay. Yeah, no, it's a title match, right?
They, like last time, they're like, well, it's non-title, but it might not be come Sunday. Which, I don't know, they just forgot to update the graphic maybe, or...
Yeah,
the FTW title is not an official title in AEW.
Okay. I'm also not really into that match.
Rightfully so.
Or the story. The match or the story.
Yeah,
like anything about it, pretty much what happened, what we were fearful of happening with Hook by having Jericho just kind of muddy the water has basically happened.
It's happened, yeah. I have no interest in Hook anymore.
I respect what Jericho is doing, and kind of leaning into the whole thing. I just wish he wasn't doing it around Hook, because you're trying out this new thing and you're dragging down one of the young talents with you, and it's very disappointing.
Yep.
You know, when you have a gimmick like Jericho, and he is a walking gimmick, I think he has a bag of gimmicks, and he just pulls one out and says, today I'm going to be the learning tree. I'm going to do this for a while, right? It's supposed to be able to get young talent over, and Hook's already over. So, I mean, beating Chris Jericho does nothing for me. He's beating a Hall of Famer, yes, but Jericho's been beaten a ton, and I don't know what this necessarily does for Hook outside of just giving him just a match. And then, of course, Shibata's being part of this as well. I mean, Shibata, I think, that's the guy that shines through out of all of them. Hook's already over. Shibata needs wins, but he's not going to win this match.
And we've already seen Hook beat Jericho, and yet he's still been pulled in all this. And if he beats him again, it's like, okay. And are we even confident that Jericho takes the pin, or does Hook beat Shibata to get the title back? And then we get more Hook and Jericho.
I say this with all the love in the world. Who cares?
All right, that's fair.
If he pins Jericho, if he submits Shibata, who cares? Just please, for the love of all things holy, get Hook out of this mess and move him on to something bigger and better. Please.
Completely agree.
Like have Hook win the FTW championship, retire the damn thing, and then let's get back to getting some of this momentum that he had. Like when, he wrestled Samoa Joe, and that was a lot of fun. So can we get back to things like that, please?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, and speaking of momentum, how about the heavyweight champion? And also, we have to talk about the placement of the card. Is Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage the main event, or is it Anarchy in the Ring or the Arena? Is that the main event?
Anarchy.
I don't know.
I think the only times they've kind of wandered away from not having the World Championship be the main event of their pay-per-views. Either A, the World Championship wasn't featured like at All Out last year, or for Anarchy in the Arena. So Anarchy in the Arena is kind of one of their big signature things. It is the main focus storyline that they're telling. So I think Anarchy in the Arena closes the show.
Completely agree.
I think it's pretty clear that Swerve Strickland's just another guy. He's in the same position he was. Only difference is he has a championship. So once again, he starts off hour 2 in a match against Nick Wayne. And yes, afterwards was amazing to look outside and see that whole thing with Christian Cage. That was great, but that was not toward the back end of the show. Like the
not pulling up with the coffee. Like, it was great. Like, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the segment. Like, Nana pulling out the save, because there were questions of, well, we haven't really seen Nana since he got beaten down. He wasn't around when the Mogul Embassy, which he helped form, turned their back on. So was he a part of that? Is he still aligning with Swerve? Obviously still aligning with Swerve. But, I mean, I saw Bully Ray make the case on Busted Open. I saw those clips on social media of Christian Cage walks away the World Heavyweight Champion here in AEW. Like, is that a more compelling storyline right now than Swerve Strickland?
Well, this is the way he's been booked. How is that starting hour 2? How's that on the back of the show? We get Satnam Singh and Bryan Danielson at the back end as a match. I mean, just like what he is, Gabe, Brian, he's just another guy, unfortunately, the way he's been booked from the beginning. Everyone wants Swerve to be champion, and then look at where he's been. When he gets the championship, he doesn't get a chance to speak. He's just thrown in a match in Jacksonville. What is that?
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. I was excited about where this could go because of Christian's mic work. The more disappointing thing is the announcement last night that next week on Dynamite, we get the Casino Gauntlet match to determine the next challenger. So it's not even going to be a story there where you're like, hey, I want to get a title. It's like, oh, no, they won this match. They get it. So, like, they seem to just be going down that path again with the next challenger for him.
I don't like it. I just don't like it.
I agree.
He's your heavyweight champion, and he just booked like I feel like he's in the same spot he was before. And I just like he's gonna get past Christian, yes, but he's your champion. You have to empower him. You have to put him on a pedestal, you know. And these 50-50 matches, you can't wrestle that way also, Gabe. You cannot have your champion in there going halfway in a match. Either he's gonna have to come from behind where he's getting beat down, but this 50-50 and he's a world champion. You don't see Cody doing that. You don't see some of their champions doing that.
You have 4 opportunities with Dynamite and Collision to kind of feature him, right? The opening of the show and the closing of the show. And he wasn't. Like you said, he started hour 2. It's probably the 3rd best position you want to be in, right? Just opening up hour 2. But it's the 3rd. Like on Dynamite last night, it was the 3rd. And the same thing, Samoa Joe fell to the same thing. And they've kind of, and really MJF before that, they've been in a rut. And I don't want to make this seem like we're completely bashing on AEW because they have told some other meaningful stories. They just haven't done it with their AEW championship. And again, this goes back to MJF when somehow the ROH tag titles were getting more of a shine than the AEW championship. Like that's a thing that happened, right? I'm not crazy. Like that's an actual thing that happened. Your secondary tag team titles were featured more than the prize that you want to have in your company.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and they just haven't pulled themselves out of that funk with the AEW World Championship. Now, they have, again, there are compelling stories up and down this card. We talked about it last week. They didn't need to add to it this week with Mercedes Moné and Willow. Like, okay, we sold that last week. I'm already all in. I like what they've done with Orange Cassidy and Trent. I like what they've done with Roddy Strong taking on Will Ospreay. And then, by the way, there's a little bit of intrigue there with Orange Cassidy. And is he in line with Don Callis? Is Don Callis going to stab him in the back? What's going to go on here? So they've done some good things elsewhere. They just haven't done it around their world championship, which is disappointing because their world championship is supposed to be this thing that's really held up on a pedestal and just hasn't lived up to that in the last 18 months.
Yeah, and I think on the flip side, you know, when it comes to WWE, like Triple H making that announcement today that King and Queen of the Ring get title shots at SummerSlam, there are more than likely going to be title matches before those SummerSlam opportunities. And you look at where it is right now, King of the Ring will be Gunther versus either Randy Orton or Tama Tonga. Queen of the Ring, Lyra Valkyrie versus Nia or Bianca. I don't know if they're pulling the trigger on Gunther yet.
You expect him to lose?
Yeah, and we do Orton and Cody at SummerSlam.
Okay. In.
Okay.
I mean, it's a weird way to get there. Because you could have. So Gunther versus either Drew McIntyre, who could potentially win the world championship from Priest. Like, so it's Gunther versus one of those two, because we're assuming that McIntyre is going to get the championship match again at Clash of the Castle.
Yeah. But in that situation, Gunther then wins it a month later? Like, you're only going to have a 1 month reign from Drew?
No, I mean, Clash of the Castle's next month. SummerSlam's not till August. He gets like 2.5 months.
All right.
So we're not getting Cody.
That's infinitely longer than his last reign.
That is a good point. That is math. And
exponentially better than the 6 minutes he held it for at WrestleMania.
That's damn near close to Steiner math right there. That's good. It's pretty good. He is spitting facts, folks.
Yeah, he is.
It's true. So, are we getting Cody and Gunther in Berlin?
I feel like we need another way to get it. If they're going to specifically say it's show specific, we're not there yet. Yeah,
and that's just down the line. I know. Yeah. I mean, that's the match I'm looking forward to seeing those two in the ring together. I just don't know when. But that's interesting. Like if Cody and Randy Orton is the main event at SummerSlam, you know that's going to deliver. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'd be a little disappointed because I think, and look, it's very obvious how Triple H feels about King and Queen of the Ring. He holds it in high regard because it meant something when, he was a wrestler, when he was a younger wrestler in the company. I also feel like they've kind of wasted it, right?
Right.
I guess we have to wait and see what the finals end up being. But the fact that they decided to put Jade Cargill in it and then have her lose in a disqualification, like what? Okay, why do we even put Jade here? We could have easily put somebody else here that
Right, yeah.
could have just eaten the pin or make Nia look stronger if she's going on to face Bianca Belair. And I think it's a real possibility that the that the winners are Bianca Belair and Randy Orton, and then they get they're Bianca Belair and Randy Orton. They don't need to. We didn't need to do this whole tournament to give them championship opportunities. Maybe I'm wrong, and they end up going with Lyra if Nia ends up going and we get Lyra versus Becky at SummerSlam. Like that could be, again, still a little bit of work to do there, but it could be fun. Like you could talk me into that. But my understanding of King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring is we're supposed to be uplifting young talent. And if we have multiple time already locks for the WWE Hall of Fame winning the tournaments, I don't know what the point was.
Well, then what if the young talent wins? Like, I agree. I think Lyra versus Becky is a legit possibility. So if we go that route on the Queen side, on the men's side, if it's Tama versus Cody, are you in on that one?
Like, I'm in on Tama Tonga winning King of the Ring. I'm not in on him getting the championship opportunity at SummerSlam. It's.
There's your new talent. There's someone that hasn't been there before, and you can tell the bloodline story.
Which would make a ton of sense. But again, because Cody, I don't want them to be crossing paths that soon.
Sure.
So my guess is that Tonga's not going to win tomorrow. I'm with you. I think Randy Orton's the one representing SmackDown going up against Gunther.
Lyra Valkyria. It's not Taya Valkyrie. It's Lyra Valkyria.
It's just Lyra. I'm sticking with Lyra from now on.
I understand.
All right. All right, Vince. Just got to enough of these last names. I just need one name, damn it.
Yeah, right. Make it easy. Right.
And the Golden State Warriors, by the way, should sue her for that name, since the new WNBA name is the Valkyries, whatever.
She should be their mascot.
Boy, you talk about jamming a young talent down our throats without knowing who she is.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, could she possibly be Queen of the Ring? Sure. I understand what it's for. It's what Gabe just said. Traditionally, the King and Queen of the Ring are about trying to get over new talent and what's next, right? I don't even know who this is, and quite frankly, not impressed. I didn't like what I saw this week.
She's Becky Lynch's friend.
Yeah, that's her story. That's her background. She's friends with Becky.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Holy AEW. Holy AEW on that. Jeez. Is it me? I'm not impressed. Not really.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen her go in the ring. I was impressed with her and Io this week.
Oh, her and Io was great. I mean, spoiler alert, her and Io made my list for match of the week.
But I mean, it's a way to elevate.
Io was impressive in that match.
Okay.
Io. Yeah, I thought Io. I mean, you put her in there with a hanger, and Io could be able to get the hanger over.
That is fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, AEW legitimately tried to do that with Bryan Danielson last night, so...
I will also say, based on what we know about Randy Orton, he leaves the crown in Saudi if he wins, right? He's like, I don't need this. You guys can keep it.
He's gonna forget it.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
Oh no! You wanted me to wear the crown when I came out on SmackDown next week? Oh, you know what?
Damn.
I went through security at the airport, and they made me check all my metal stuff, and I had it on me, so I set it down, and then because I'm not used to carrying it, I forgot to grab it at the end. Oh, I can't. I left it in Jeddah. Happens. I'm so sorry.
And as a rib, it's okay. Here's another one.
You know what, Randy? I've been around you enough. I figured you might forget one, so we had a duplicate made.
So here you go. And he'll punt it into the stands. That's what he's going to do. I know he doesn't want to wear that gimmick, but I know that. And by the way, hats off to Randy Orton. It started in France People have missed him.
Yeah.
It's the old wrestling adage of how can I miss you if you don't go away? He goes away and look at they're singing his song. It's just great. It's great to see.
Someone should tell Jericho that old adage.
I mean, there's a spot on Collision from the New Broadcasting or Rampage. I don't know why he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Daddy Magic is taking over.
Yes.
Our guy, friend of the show, Daddy Magic. All right, a lot of things happening, as I mentioned, in the world of professional wrestling this weekend with all the different events happening with Memorial Day weekend. We dive now into our other top 3 stories in the world of pro wrestling. We call it our 3 count. Brian, what do you have at number 1?
All right, we'll stay with AEW. It's a triple main event weekend. The world title, the women's title, Anarchy in the Arena. Which Double or Nothing main event will be most talked about when the show comes to a close Sunday?
I got to imagine it's going to be Anarchy in the Arena, just because, again, like I don't foresee anything super special happening in the women's match. It's going to deliver in the ring. Tony's great in the ring. Serena's great in the ring, and I think Tony's done a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the storyline heading into this. We just covered the men's side of the World Championship, and I can't imagine anything super strange happening what's going to put us over. I mean, we literally have Team AEW taking on the EVPs and the new version of the Elite. Like, that's because it's Anarchy in the Arena, because it's no disqualification. It opens up with something surprising happen, whether that's somebody helping out the Elite to put them over or somebody helping out Team AEW. I suspect that somebody is going to be helping out the Elite. I don't know who, but I think that the Elite is probably going over so they can continue their storyline of their reign over AEW.
Was the flamethrower not enough for you? We got a flamethrower last night. No?
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
No. But do you expect him to show up with the flamethrower on Sunday?
Yeah, a little bit. I sort of did.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, if he's got a flamethrower, then that changes again, we're going back to the math. It changes the math.
Yes.
Yeah.
Show up with a flamethrower to a wrestling match. Like, that's a first.
Well, here's how it goes. If he does not have the flamethrower and he has just himself, then once again, you overshot it because that should have been saved for Vegas, unless Vegas does not allow you to have a flamethrower in the arena. And I find that to be impossible because it's Vegas and all these crazy acts. So you would expect a flamethrower to be allowed in Vegas.
I think I saw a note today during TK's press conference that you apparently need to have a license in order to operate a flamethrower. And apparently Darby has one.
Well, just take it to the Strip. It's Vegas. Anything's legal on the Strip. They'll be fine.
I mean, it's Anarchy in the Arena.
Drop the word.
If he just comes to Vegas with his pink jacket and no flamethrower, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, as you should.
What if he's got it? What if he doesn't come out with his entrance music? Doesn't come out with it, but has it hidden somewhere else in the arena,
like underneath the ring?
Well, I'm thinking like, buried in like a popcorn maker. Like it's covered up with the popcorn, and then he just pulls it out, and now he's got the flamethrower. Something more of that lines.
Well, and you call Browitz a carny. Wow.
Imagine the pop if he pulls that out of the popcorn maker.
Oh,
crowd would love it.
Well, I would agree with you that before I go there, just so I'm clear, guys, this they're calling this a triple main event. Is that what they're doing?
Yep.
Such an effing cop out. It's so bad.
Yeah, hey, look, this is what WWE started it, and now everybody else is copying it, and they're all full of shit. There's one main event. It's the match that goes on last.
That's so bad. It's not a triple main event. But Gabe is right that Anarchy in the Arena is going to be talked about the most because here's the thing. It's not going to be about work rate. It won't be about 5 stars. This match and this whole card's going to deliver, by the way. We didn't even talk about Takeshita against Jon Moxley. And I think that's going to be a good match as well for the IWGP Championship. But, guys, I mean, that's going to be the match that everyone's talking about because there's been so much heat on the Elite. And it's going to be all over the place, and people are going to be talking about it. It won't be about, suplexes and 30-minute matches. It's just going to be about chaos, and people will be attracted to that.
Gerald Reed says on YouTube, Darby will pull a tank in. So you can have that to talk about.
Oh, taking Shotzi's gimmick. Okay.
Look, if you pull in a tank and don't use it,
right.
Like, is that if you pull up in a tank in a match where anything goes and you don't use it, that's dumber than when Austin Theory used his Money in the Bank to cash in on the U.S. title.
That's a good point. So, yes, I think we're going to get more moments out of that match, but I think in terms of talked about, it's the star making that's going to happen. I think Willow wins. We've seen this Edge tour. We saw the promo last week. And if Mercedes' first match is a loss to Willow, we continue to see that star rise. And I think that's what we end up talking about at the end.
That would be awesome if that's where they go. If Willow wins the match, all the CEO and all this stuff, I was on Busted Open talking about this, and all the hosts over there is like, we're not sure if this match will deliver. I'm just like, wait a minute. I mean, Mercedes been off, but she's not going to be so rusty that the match will suck.
Right.
It's going to be fun. It's been really weird over there. That's why I take solace with my family here, so we can just openly talk about this stuff. Like, all these guys over there on Sirius are just on Busted Open are like, yeah, I'm not sure if this match will deliver. If it's a B, I heard Nick Nemeth say, if this is a B+, then this match may not deliver. People will say Mercedes is bad or and I'm just like, well, wait a minute. You think Mercedes Moné is going to blow this thing? Seriously? A B+ would mean that match is no good? I don't know what Nick was talking about.
Yeah, look, B+ is really good. Especially because if there's an A on the card, that's going to Ospreay, right? If this match is a B+, it delivers. If any match is a B+, it delivers.
And with Ospreay, we said you have to put that to the side. Ospreay, we know is going to do his thing. Everyone else, you compete for match of the night. That isn't Ospreay.
It just irked me because I know that Mercedes Moné can. Here's the thing: outside of WWE, we saw her in New Japan. She delivered in New Japan. There was no oh my God, she's used to the WWE mechanical style, so she won't be able. She delivered there. So why would you do that in AEW? She's done a lot of promos because she was hurt. She was not medically cleared. And so she takes the one bump through the table last week. And so now this matchup is going to be great. It was great in Long Beach when they had it in New Japan.
Correct.
It's gonna be fine here.
It was fantastic when she got hurt.
Right.
She got hurt and then still finished the match, which, by the way, was great.
Right.
The fear won't and people are conflating two things. They say, well, her promos are too WWE-like. Okay, well, you can work on her on that. If you want her to have better promos and it feels more unscripted, okay, we can talk about that. But the idea that, well, she's in an AEW ring, so she won't be able to perform as well. What? She's already performed away from WWE. This matchup is going to deliver, especially if both ladies stay healthy. 20-minute matchup, it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fine.
I agree, and that's why I think at the end of that, if it's Willow standing up still as champion, then you have a legit star in that division, probably the biggest since you made Britt into such a star. And then, misused her and she disappeared. But
she's legitimately hurt.
Okay. Well, before that, there's a lot of mystery around her. But you made her into a star. You could do the same with Willow this week if you give her the win. And I think that's where
isn't Willow already there?
Yeah, but a win over Mercedes, she's over as a babyface. And Hood said last week, her merch should be through the roof. But if you give her that win over Mercedes, I feel like it's a different level.
But I guess you can run it back because she already has a win over Mercedes. Her last match against Mercedes was a win over Mercedes.
No, it wasn't in this company. Those don't count the same.
They don't count the same. Okay, I'll tell you what the finish is. You guys ready for the finish?
Hit me.
The finish is that Mercedes Moné wins because of outside interference. The outside interference will be NWA's Camille. She's been sitting there for 3 months. She's been signed.
Yeah.
And she was champion at NWA for a long time. And she's gonna come out and she's going to be the Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels situation. So she's gonna be the heater for Moné, and Moné wins because of outside interference. You'll see Camille, I think, on Sunday. That's my prediction. Yeah.
What if it's Statlander?
Oh, turning on Willow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I like that.
Sign me up for a Stat Willow feud. Okay. I could be talked into that.
Yeah,
and maybe Monet's a CEO, right? Right. That means that she's the head of something that's happening. I don't know what, but it sounds like she's going to be part of, oh my God, a faction. How about that? So
stop me if you've heard this before.
yeah, since we're back to the 90s again, everybody's in a faction. So I think she's a CEO of something. So I think that Monet will win, but it won't be clean, I don't believe.
All right. But I think that match will deliver. And like we always say, like we know everything else will. The triple main event is a cop-out. Does Ospreay have to open so no one has to? Okay,
yes.
You do it that way?
Yeah.
Yes. And then he's going to say, all right, bruv, follow that, bitches.
And then put on the FTW championship. Cleanse everybody's palate, and then we get on with the rest of the card.
So Swerve Strickland on his podcast had Ospreay, and he says he's told everyone in the back, just because Ospreay's here now doesn't mean you need to get on his level. Like, he's on a different level. You still try and strive and have a great match, but it's probably not going to reach his. So,
yeah, this is just, I mean, other than that FTW championship match, like, I am legitimately excited for just about every one of these matches.
Yeah.
It's going to be so cool when Will Ospreay's the AEW champion. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be whenever that happens. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.
What do we got at number 2 this week, Brian?
All right. The Undertaker on his 6 Feet Under podcast was talking about the Tom Brady roast and said a WWE roast would be huge business. So who in the wrestling world would you want to see get roasted?
I mean, we start with Paul Heyman, right? Like, he's been a part of so many different companies, has, literally changed and touched the lives of so many different careers within WWE. I think he would take, because the other thing about being roasted is you have to have a good sense of humor about yourself.
Right.
Like, we talked about it when the Tom Brady roast happened. We talked about it on our local show here in Milwaukee about, like, man, there's just not a lot of people that would be willing to sit through that many jokes about yourself, especially like your highly publicized divorce and all these other like nitty gritty details. Like that would be tough to sit through. And I feel like Paul would have the sense of humor to listen to whatever jokes were lobbed his way if they were to do a roast on Paul Heyman.
So I wrote down a few names, WWE and AEW. WWE, my first name was CM Punk.
Guess who's not going to sit down for a roast?
Yeah. Based on history, he doesn't seem to be one with thick skin there, Hood.
You asked the question's on the bottom of the screen, and I'm answering.
It's true. Who do you want to see roasted? That is the question.
See, you guys, I don't know what it is about this show. You ask a question, I give you an answer, and I get the head wiggle from Brian Rowitz every time. You asked the question.
You're right.
I like to see CM Punk roasted, and I like to see Colt Cabana as one of the roasters. How about that?
Okay. He should just be the host, I feel like, at that point.
Don't you get it? I mean, it's something I want to see. I also want to see Tony Khan get roasted in AEW. How about that? You sit there and for his guys to roast Tony Khan. What do you think that's like?
Yeah.
First guy to be roasted was Wardlow. Let's start there. Let's start with Wardlow, just as a warm-up act. Hey, Wardlow, who, by the way, I've not talked about this on the air. When AEW made their tour through Canada, they asked Wardlow, hey, man, I need you to show up for a Collision. He shows up with his bag. All right, I'm ready. Yeah, we can't use you tonight. Wardlow. Can't use you tonight. All that travel. I think he lives in Orlando, I think. Made his way to Canada. Yeah, sorry, we can't use you.
He got some airtime last night.
A little. Yes, a little bit. Yes.
He was on your television at one point.
Cody Rhodes, I like to see also roasted.
See, the only thing with Cody, like I started to write him down. I feel like people like him too much.
There's a lot of material for Cody Rhodes, though. There's a lot.
Isn't all dusty jokes?
Some of them be dusty jokes,
okay.
yes.
I mean, some are dusty. The majority are Stardust jokes.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
See?
I feel like he's too likable that people won't want to be mean. I feel like you have to be mean in these roasts. People will be mean to a Paul Heyman. There are plenty of people that will line up to do that.
But then they say they love him, though. Even the guys that the ECW guys he didn't pay, they would cut him to shreds. But he'd still say, you know what, Paul, thank you for the opportunity. I love you. That kind of thing. Now, you want a guy that would not sit there and take it? You said Punk wouldn't be there. Here's a guy I wrote down because I think it's funny. How about the roast of Eddie Kingston? Oh shit!
That would end in a fight.
No, not if you got all of his heroes to come. Then he would just be, oh my God, thank you so much for coming. Like, I'm so honored just to be in the same room as you. Like, you just have to get like all the older New Japan guys that are coming through that he idolized growing up.
Unfortunately, that roast would have a lot of subtitles. All his Japanese heroes.
Yep.
We wouldn't understand them. Most of them, I think.
That would be an interesting one. I just feel like it wouldn't go over too well. But a good appearance by him, by the way, this week. A Meal and a Match on TBS YouTube with Renee and RJ City. Eddie Kingston was their first guest.
I did. I mean, I saw the advertisements for it clearly, and so you did watch it.
A good 20 minutes of Eddie just eating and being miserable that he's there, and RJ City cracking jokes. Renee put a bib on him at one point. He was a big fan of that. I do think Renee is still the only person he legit likes, and it's because of his relationship with Mox. So he got that going for him.
Speaking of Mox, I spent my supplemental AEW 20 minutes of the week on AEW with RJ City and Jon Moxley, which was something else.
So because of that episode, I wrote Mox's name down because them trying to crack jokes and him just being stone-faced and just miserable being there would be very entertaining.
Everybody trying to break him. Yeah. Everybody trying to break Jon Moxley, and which RJ City almost did. Almost got him with the Cincinnati pun. Again, if you haven't seen it, just go watch it. I can't explain really what happened. Either you get it or you don't get it. So just go watch it if you have a free 20 minutes.
A couple others I'll throw out there. You talk about impacting people. Triple H.
Triple H was also on my list of people to, because again, he's been around forever. You can roast him for, the ringmaster gimmick, or whatever the hell he was early, and then getting punished for, then getting punished for the encore, the curtain call, and all the different things. Again, the way that The Rock used to make fun of the way he talked.
Yeah, and then we make fun of him a lot also, so that's why he comes to mind is Jericho.
Yeah,
I feel like that could be good.
I think he would take it and enjoy it.
Yeah,
and he put on the fake smile he's got on now with this learning tree gimmick.
I do hope some company out there takes this idea and runs with it for like a Mania weekend. Like you've got everyone in town, like just roll someone up there and sell tickets to it.
Yeah, you know what? People, I think, definitely will enjoy that. There's a lot of wrestlers that we can throw out there that would love to be part of a roast, and I think it'll be successful.
Yeah.
Again, proceeds to charity. Definitely, people would love that. I think so. I think it'd be fun.
Oh, it absolutely would be fun. It'd be a lot of fun. Are we missing anyone? Are we missing anybody that, because again, Netflix did this by going to the top of the list,
right,
with Tom Brady, right? So, I don't think we can do it with Hogan. I think that's that's just not safe for anybody.
I wrote down Randy
Stone
Orton.
Cold?
Oh, Stone Cold The Rock could be really good.
Did you say Randy Orton?
Yeah, for the same reason the Mox, just him sitting up there miserable, seeing if you could break him.
You know what? The Randy Orton we see lately, I think we'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
so. You'd be able to break this Randy Orton pretty easily, I think.
I think he'd enjoy it. I like him at ringside, signing an autograph, had his fist out, and the girl was so shy. He was just left holding the bag, just like, okay. No fist back. Okay, no problem.
I like the Austin and Rock idea. It's the same thing. You get so many people like from their generation, but also the current ones. I just grew up watching them.
You talk about CM Punk. You think Austin will sit up there and you talk about his ex-wives? You think you want to do that? I mean, I'm just telling you, like that guy's got a trigger. Like that's half a shoot that he does. Like he's not. I don't know if he'd be amenable to that.
I feel like Rock's in that boat also in terms of no thick skin. I don't think he enjoys being on the receiving end.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Tony Khan getting beat down. I like that. And of course, there's always Vince.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that one. Don't give him any ideas.
Yeah, right. That's how he decides to try to make some money in his first move post
But he writes the jokes for everyone so that they're pre-approved.
Oh, of course. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be terrible then.
Right.
Fart jokes. Great.
Right. Lots of them.
There is another big event happening this weekend. GCW going to be heading down to Chicago, and the general manager of GCW is Matt Cardona. He's out with injury right now, but we had an opportunity to catch up with the Indie God earlier today so he could give us the latest on GCW and his own health. Always excited to talk with our next guests. He's the Indie God. He's out, though, so that means he is the general manager of GCW coming to Chicago this weekend. Please welcome Matt Cardona. Matt, thanks so much for the time, man.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So why was it important for you, as you're going through this pectoral injury, to still be involved and be the general manager of GCW?
Well, in wrestling, especially independent wrestling, it is so hard to gain momentum, and it's even harder once you lose it. So I knew once I got injured, I knew once I got surgery, I couldn't just take months off. That's a kiss of death in wrestling, especially independent wrestling. So I had to keep my name out there, my face out there. And GCW, they're smart enough to realize that Matt Cardona on the show will help the show, whether I'm wrestling, now I'm the general manager. But, if you've been watching, I've been doing commentary, I've been managing people. So I can do everything. But the wrestling, that's like the least important thing in my opinion. I mean, everyone can wrestle, or everyone should be able to wrestle at this level, right? So what makes Matt Cardona so special is that you can bring me in, I can cut a promo, I can do commentary, I can be a manager, I can do whatever. And yeah, I could wrestle, but right now for the next few months, I won't be able to actually get in the ring and compete.
I just want to know how you're feeling right now. How's the progress?
Yeah, the progress is pretty good. It's about a month post-op. I should be wearing my sling right now, but I'm not. The rehab's going well. It feels pretty good, but we're still months away. I'm not going to say how many months. I want that John Cena Royal Rumble comeback. You never know when it's going to come. But yeah, we're getting there. I'm not going to rush back, but I'm not going to take my sweet ass time either.
Gabe mentioned you're the indie god. There are indies all around the world that want you to work for them. What is it about GCW that keeps bringing you back?
Why they bring me back, or why I go back there?
Why do you want to go back? Why do you give them your time?
Because to me, I don't feel like they are an independent company. I mean, they are in the sense that they truly are run independently. There's nobody funding them, nobody backing them. But I mean, I think they run more shows than anybody besides WWE and AEW, and they might run as many as AEW every single week, coast to coast in the US, all over the world. I mean, with streaming services now and the internet, you don't just have to be in Chicago to watch that show Saturday night. People will watch it all over the world. And, when I had that death match with Nick Gage, what was it, 2021? I think I put GCW on the map that night, but they put Matt Cardona on the map. So, I don't feel like I owe them anything, but they're definitely my home fed, as the kids say these days.
Okay.
So before the injury, we did get to see you in AEW. You made the surprise return to take on Adam Copeland in the Cope Open. Once you get back, once you're healthy, do you have a list of guys that you want to continue and try to go up against that maybe you either haven't before or have not gone up against in a while?
If you're a champion, I want to wrestle you. Otherwise, I don't care. I don't care. Is the show I'm on gonna have a lot of people where I can sell a lot of merch? That's what I care about. This whole dream match thing. Yes, Edge, Adam Copeland was my dream match because he literally was the guy I grew up wanting to be like. I was the Edge heads with him. I learned so much from him. I thought that match would never happen. So that was my dream match. But I don't have like a list of people I want to wrestle. I don't care. If you're a champion, I want to wrestle you. If it's the main event, I want to wrestle you. I don't care about having work rate matches. I don't care about star ratings. I care about buzz, money, and gold. And that's me speaking in character and as a shoot. That's all I care about. It doesn't matter to me what somebody online rated my match. It matters to me how much money is in my bank account, how much merch I sold that night, how much buzz I got, how much further that match, is going to take my career.
You can catch Matt at the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, where we get your podcasts. So I will ask you, in the works, do you have a GCW commissioner wrestling figure?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not going to be out that long. Spoiler. I said I wasn't going to be out that long. But with the action figures, it takes about 6 months at the absolute earliest, and that's why we started our own company, because we've had figures from Mattel, from Jax, and other great companies like Super 7. But there's always delays in the factory, and there's hiccups, and people get bumped in the lineup. So I just kind of wanted to take control of that. That's why we started our own company, Major Bendy's. So with us, since we're so on top of the ball, it takes about 6 months on that's a quick turnaround. But I don't want to be out 6 months, and I don't want an outdated figure by the time it comes out.
I'm here to tell you right now, that's a miss. I'll tell you that right now, because with the Zack Ryder, with the Matt Cardona, with the Indie God, the guy with the sling and the suit, that has to be part of the set. So now you're gypping us, the fans.
Hey, maybe you can make a custom, but there's no way I'm going to mass produce that. I don't know if the market is craving a Matt Cardona in a custom suit with a sling, but you never know.
And he won't take my money. That's how good Matt Cardona got it. There you go.
That's how much money he's making. He can say no to you.
Doesn't need it. Cool.
You use that word buzz. Nowadays, people get bored by stuff within an hour of it being out there. How do you still create so much buzz wherever you show up?
That's a great question, because I'm always ready. And that's just not my nickname. That's not just a catchphrase. I'm always chasing that buzz. Being an independent wrestler, not being featured on worldwide television like AEW or WWE, if I want to just take a day off my phone, well, people might forget about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't have, if Drew McIntyre says I don't want to tweet today, well, WWE's probably going to post a bunch of clips, post his t-shirt, right? I don't have that luxury, and that's fine. I have to do all the work myself. So if I get some buzz, let's post about it for a little bit. But this business is very, what have you done for me lately? Right. So you got to keep that buzz going. You got to find new ways to create buzz, and it's challenging. It certainly is. And sometimes, there are situations where I feel like, oh my God, this is going to explode. People will love this. And then you hear crickets, or, the opposite. You don't think anything's going to come from it, and everybody's talking about it. So you just got to have your finger on the pulse and always be ready for any situation. Always be ready to pivot.
No matter what character you are or portray, it seems like the fans do flock to you, though. And I think that's a big reason for your success as the Indie God. Why do you think fans have always been able to connect with you? And why have you always been able to connect to the audience you're trying to reach?
Back in the day, back in my day, 2011, when I started my YouTube show, Z True Long Island Story, I wasn't the first person on social media, but I think I was the first person to really blend the real life person and the on-screen character. So with the YouTube show, I showed the fans, hey, I'm more than the woo guy. I'm more than the guy who's already in the ring losing in 3 minutes on Raw. I'm a diehard wrestling fan, just like you guys. I like Star Wars. I like Ghostbusters. I like wrestling figures. So letting the people in on the real life, and now everybody's doing it, or at least they should be, right? Wrestling is so unique, where let's say the original Ghostbusters came out today, right? Bill Murray is not tweeting as Peter Venkman. You know what I'm saying? But us as wrestlers, we're tweeting in character and as our real life, and blurring the lines. That's where I feel like things get a little interesting. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. Sometimes things can get really ugly, but sometimes it makes things fun where people are always guessing, hey, is this real? Is this not real? So I think that's why people relate to me, because I'm so authentic, and I'll just post whatever I want online. And, it's probably not the smartest, but I don't care if I post something that gets like 0 likes. It's probably screws up my whole algorithm, but I don't give a shit. I just want to post what I want to post. That's probably horrible advice for people. Like I just want to be me, and, kind of take it or leave it.
Matt, you talked about GCW and how they're traveling across the country. I think all of us have seen ECW in its heyday. So what's the parallel, do you think, from ECW to what GCW is accomplishing?
Man, I really do see the comparisons. I was somebody who, was a fan during that Attitude Era, and ECW was that number 3. And like I said earlier, I think GCW is that number 3. And even when I first got released from WWE and I was approached to do GCW, I said, oh no, I don't want to do that deathmatch garbage, right? But like, I'd never seen a show. I had never watched a show until I was there, and I realized, yeah, there is some deathmatch stuff, but there's also some great technical wrestling. Now with me, there's some great storytelling. There's people, international stars from all over the world, very similar to ECW. It was labeled as hardcore and bloody and extreme, but when you really watch it, sure, there was some of that, but there was great technical wrestling. Guys like Rey Mysterio getting their start, guys like Chris Jericho getting their start, or their start in the United States. So I feel like GCW and ECW are very, very similar.
You're a wrestling fan. The Undertaker recently said off the Tom Brady roast that a pro wrestling roast would do good numbers. Who do you think would do the best being in that stage and being roasted? You, okay.
I
think Cardona roast?
I saw Undertaker talking about it. I was mentioning it a few weeks ago on my podcast. I think it'd be awesome because I have so many funny friends, or people I know in the business, whether it be Nick Nemeth, Colt Cabana, RJ City. It would just be a fun show. And also, like, nothing's off limits with me. I don't care. And I think that's what made me, you talk about the connection with the audience, what made me so relatable with that YouTube show back in the day. I realized very early on, like, the fans, if they want to insult me and say, oh, you're a jobber. Well, if I'm saying that about myself, how can you insult me with that? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the self-deprecating humor, I think, won me over with the audience. So, like, I'm not saying I don't go completely unfazed by things and the insults and the digs on social media, but 9 times out of 10, it doesn't bother me.
I want to explore a little bit more about when we're talking about storytelling, because I feel like there's a lot of it going on in the world of professional wrestling. Do you think the storytelling has gotten better at all levels since you've started in pro wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at WWE and that bloodline, that story, Roman Reigns being the champion for so long, Cody finishing his story, so many stories tied together, and now just AEW with their stories with the Young Bucks being the EVPs against Tony Khan and Team AEW saving the day. Listen, I'm not saying wrestling is not important. Of course, the matches are important, but without the stories, without being invested in these characters, then the matches mean nothing. If you were to watch, or if you were to take 2 independent wrestlers, some no-name wrestlers, and have them do Rock Hogan WrestleMania 18 move for move and put it on an indie show, people would say the match sucked. Right. But if you have the characters, the connection, and I think that match is one of the greatest matches of all time because it's not about the moves. It's about the emotions and the connections.
You just gave an idea, though. There's going to be 2 indie guys that do that now.
But I think you're 100% right, Matt, because I feel like wrestling is starting to crescendo and starting to become a little bit more popular with some of the momentum coming out of WrestleMania, some of the momentum that AEW currently has. And I think a lot of that is because of the storytelling. It is having the audience, instead of, yeah, that match was cool, they're now investing themselves more into what's actually happening and the stories that are being told.
Yeah, so I think the storytelling is at an all-time high, as well as the in-ring competition. I mean, these guys and girls, what they can do in the ring is incredible. So everything is just, it's just at its peak. And I love being a part of it. I've said it before. I think it's the best time to be a wrestler. It's definitely the best time I've been, in my career, 20 years to be a wrestler. And I think it's the best time to be a fan. In my 39 years on this earth, the greatest time to be a fan.
So at a smaller venue, Talia Hall in Chicago is going to be fun. Do you have any memories of being in Chicago, Mr. Commissioner?
Well, the first time I was in Chicago as GCW world champion, I lost to Jon Moxley. And this so-called fighting champion never gave me a rematch. In fact, I've never gotten a rematch for the GCW world title. And I think it's only fair, Jon Moxley, the IWGP world champion, if he's looking for competition, if he can hold on to it until I'm cleared, I think he owes me a rematch because I never got a rematch for the world title that he stole from me.
Okay. You mentioned champions. You mentioned your buddy, Cody. What was that moment like for you watching as a fan and as a friend?
Oh man, it was super cool, because believe it or not, I was his last match in WWE before he left. Zack Ryder defeated Stardust. So I feel like I'm owed a title opportunity there too.
You got a whole list of them.
Yeah. Let's get the title. Let's just line them up.
No, but seriously, to see everything he accomplished, to see him leave on his own, take over the independent world, help form AEW, and then to come back to WWE and have the run that he's had. It's incredible. It's inspiring.
By the way, Gabe, if any of the talent want to know where Commissioner Cardona's office is, it's just going to be outside of his office.
That's right. That's right.
No smoking.
No smoke marijuana. I hate the whole GCW, the locker room. They smoke marijuana backstage. I don't understand. We're trying to ban that. We're trying to get the dress code. I'm trying to just change GCW for the better.
All right, man. I don't know if you can appear on the show not wearing sleeves and then start talking about a dress code, man. Like, I don't know if that really kind of meshes together. I'm not complaining, man. I'm just saying, like, you're sending mixed signals right now.
Listen, if you're coming to a wrestling show, I think you gotta look like a star. If you're going through the airports, you gotta look like a star. You can't be walking around the airports. If you want to be this superstar, you can't be walking around in pajamas or looking like a scrub. Right now, I'm in my home office. I can dress however I want. I just came from the gym, just came from rehab. But if you see me at a show, I'm showing up in a nice suit, custom suit. And that's what I'm trying to do with the GCW universe is, not only the wrestlers, but the whole atmosphere, the fans. Let's clean up GCW a bit.
It's good to hear from Vince Cardona, by the way, joining us.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
The best is that Pat Blue Ribbon is allowed backstage. You're good with this. The Pats.
I am. They're a proud sponsor of the Major Wrestling Favorite podcast. And that logo that you're holding up right now, it's now a shirt available on Pro Wrestling Tees. So pick that up. I don't think it'll be in stock. I don't think you'll be able to get it by Saturday, but just order it now. When it comes, it comes.
Well, we know you're going to be there, so why should people show up in Chicago this weekend to see? I mean, other than you being on the card, why else should people show up here in Chicago?
Well, I'm not just coming to manage Jimmy Lloyd. I have a major announcement that will it will shake the foundation of GCW as we know it, and this is not just some gimmick, and it's probably going to piss people off, fans and people in the locker room. Right. But I something will be addressed, something will be said, and it will certainly change the landscape of GCW as we know it for the summer. Homecoming is the big event every August for GCW. And, my goal all year round was to be going for that world title at Homecoming. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen, but I have something in store that will make that event as good as it can possibly be.
Well, without question, the best names for pay-per-view are in GCW because Take a Picture is going to be this Saturday, and I'm going to be there. Right. That's going to be fun.
Well, hey, come to the merch stand before. I'm going to charge you full price if you want an 8x10. No freebies, no combos. I know a lot of people on the indies do a little combo.
He's got cash ready.
Yeah. Buy a picture. Buy an autograph, and then it's a combo. I don't do combos, pal. Full price Matt, baby. Full price Matt.
Oh, man.
No discounts whatsoever. Hood's got the money, though. Yeah. Hood is going to be there, Matt, so don't worry.
Cash is king, but I take all forms of payment. I'm always ready. I take card, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. If you come to the table and you try to make an excuse, I take that form of payment. Okay? So I'm always ready, especially when it comes to getting money at the gimmick table.
Matt, this was a blast, man. Thank you so much for the time. Have a lot of fun in Chicago, and best of luck on the rehab as that continues throughout the course of the summer.
Thanks so much.
Again, GCW in Chicago on Saturday, just adding to a long list of things happening this professional wrestling weekend. Looks like, he's looking for a fight when he gets back, any champ. So any champ wants a piece of Matt Cardona. He's not a hard guy to find.
GCW, New Japan, and WWE champion at the same time. That's going to be impressive from Matt.
He's looking to take on everybody. Yeah. You got to love that guy. He bets on himself. Yep. You got to love that, right? Bets on himself. And he's going to be part of Take a Picture. That's going to be on Fight TV Plus from Talia Hall in Chicago. I'll be there. Nick Gage, he's going to be there. Mike Bailey. So should be a lot of fun. My first GCW experience. I'll be glad to put some video up on YouTube and see whether or not I survive.
Brian, what do we got this week in news and notes?
All right, we have a WWE calendar update. SummerSlam 2026. Reminder, this is 2024. Next year will be 2025. This is 2026. SummerSlam. Minneapolis is where it'll take place. It'll be over 2 nights. So I guess that's the runner-up prize for Minneapolis, who will not be getting WrestleMania 41.
Excited, and look, I think that makes sense because the weather presumably nicer in August up in Minnesota than it can get a little dicey up here in the Midwest for a potential WrestleMania, even though the stadium is inside. So that makes more sense to me. Does the WWE really need to be running 2 2-night shows a year?
Well, I think you know why they're doing it is because of money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they think they can.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about, because WrestleMania draws a worldwide audience. It's one of the things that they always, people from all 50 states and all these different countries, like it's one of the things that they promo during WrestleMania. And WrestleMania has become such a big event, it makes sense to me. But SummerSlam, I wonder if that's going to kind of dilute things and they're not going to have the crowds that they want for both nights.
I think because we're good, wholesome Midwestern people, that we will fill the seats first, and then people from the outside will come. And by the way, we're already booked. We're going as a show to Minneapolis. It's easy for Gabe and I, and that's not a problem. We've been waiting for this. Hey, it's in Minnesota. That's no problem. We make the drive over, and I think and by the way, because Triple H shortens these cards, whatever it is, it might be 10 matches in 2 nights, but it's going to be a great time because we know Minneapolis is a really cool, big, clean city.
I think the first time they do it in Minnesota, I think it's going to be fine. I'm just worried if that's going to be the norm, like keeping it 2 nights in 2027, 2028. What's it going to look like in 2029? Are they going to have enough fans that are going to want to pony up the money that it takes to travel to a big destination like this? Because I feel that, I mean, WrestleMania, it's something that every wrestling fan wants to do at least once, right? Like, got to get to WrestleMania. I don't know if people feel the same way about SummerSlam, but maybe they can change that perception.
Well, it does feel like the path we're going is, you might hate this, Gabe, it's going to be a 2-night Rumble at some point.
Yeah. I mean, for 2026 SummerSlam, I mean, you got to have 2 nights. I mean, when you got AEW versus WWE.
An invasion?
Not an invasion.
Okay. No, not doing that again?
I've got AEW in my head. Who knows, man? The way things are going, who knows?
It's a con on the dotted line. That's the line this time?
Hey, man. Who knows? Seriously.
So I guess stay tuned for the 2025 announcement and whether that'll be 1 or 2 nights. Here's another calendar update. All Out 2024. That's the current year we're in. Chicago Now Arena pushed back a week. It'll be September 7th. All In at Wembley will take place August 25th. So a little bit of separation.
Bummer for somebody who loved the All Out events, loved that it was Labor Day weekend. This makes all the sense in the world. The timing was too tight last year. They ended up, again, you didn't even have the AEW World Championship defended, on that card because you did pay-per-views back-to-back weekends. If you're pushing it back another week, why can't you do another week and make it the middle of September? At that point, if you're not going to be on Labor Day weekend, I think you should look into pushing it back even further because even 2 weeks is not enough time.
And it's a Saturday.
It is
because the NFL season's going on. Yeah, because the NFL season's going on at that point.
That was an interesting conversation this week. Hey, Hun, there's going to be a pay-per-view on September 7th. My birthday. Uh-oh. Somebody's got a choice, don't they? Either I go to the wrestling event or I don't have a place to live. So that's interesting.
Whew. Stay tuned to GKW. See what happens to Jonathan Hood in September.
Interesting choice, right? It's my birthday. I should be able to go to the wrestling event, even though she might want to take me to dinner and go out. I'm kind of leaning to wrestling.
Okay.
This is dinner and a different type of show.
Yeah.
Oh, she ain't going. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is the same woman I married, by the way, in the height of the Monday Night Wars, who 20,000 people at United Center. Hey, it's Dennis Rodman. Hey, look, it's Dennis Rodman. Are you sleeping? fell asleep. Like, this will never happen again.
Yeah, true love. Love to see it. Fightful Select reporting that Steve Borden has begun wrestling training with Darby Allin. Steve, the son of Singh, was Wolfpack Sting at Revolution a few months ago.
Awesome. I mean, obviously the kid's got athleticism. I mean, the second Stinger splash, he damn near jumped out of the gym. Really got up there for that. Good for him. If that's what he wants to do, their legacy and family has always been a big part of professional wrestling. If this is something that he's always wanted to do, hope the best for him.
You know, that was in the back of our minds when we're watching Sting's kids out there. Like, is one of these guys going to be a wrestler? Because it didn't seem like a one-off. I'm like, they're athletic enough that they can do this if they wanted to. I'm glad Steve Borden Jr. is interested. I think that's cool because we saw them athletic and they got to spring their legs. I'm like, oh, this is great. And now one of them's gonna wrestle. I think that's really cool.
He's the one also that played, or I don't know if he played, but he was on the team football-wise at Kentucky. So He definitely has the athleticism.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes making a name for himself. Fanatics revealing that in April, Cody Rhodes in their top 10 selling athletes for all sports. He's the first pro wrestler to make that list.
Not shocking. I mean, it's not that shocking with Fanatics taking over, and it just makes a ton of sense to me just because that storyline was that hot. Cody was that over leading up to WrestleMania, after WrestleMania. So the amount of gear that he sold, which is, again, fascinating because you think about, like, in another sport, I got to get that person's jersey, right? And then on top of the jersey, you've got, T-shirts and all this other stuff that you can buy. You can only buy T-shirts in professional wrestling, So for Cody to be on that list, it's really cool.
It's something that is a milestone for professional wrestling. That means that you've crossed over, guys.
Yeah.
It's one thing for you to be able to be on in a movie or a television show or a talk show, what you cross over outside the wrestling bubble. But when you do that, man, that's really special. Congratulations to Cody. Shows you how special he really is as a wrestler and as a performer in WWE.
And finally, some talent updates here in news and notes. Eddie Kingston, a broken leg, torn ACL, and a torn meniscus. Suffered from a bump he took at a New Japan show. Surgery not going to take place till July, and then about 10 months of rehab after that. So we're not going to see him until probably middle 2025. And this just coming down the last half hour or so. Sean Ross Sapp says, according to multiple people in AEW, MJF expected back by Forbidden Door. That'll take place June 30th, and it's the next AEW pay-per-view.
Ooh. So does that mean we get MJF helping out either Team AEW or helping out the Elites, just making an appearance leading up to something at Forbidden Door?
Yeah.
He would be the ultimate free agent in AEW because he could be the guy standing alone and has a choice of one side or the other. And there's a story right there for a month if you want it.
Yeah.
It's good. All the best to Jim Ross, by the way, who was rushed to the hospital, went to the ER, had shortness of breath. Looks like, I hope he's okay. I know his daughter's rushed to his bedside. There's a picture of him looking like he's ready to go because he's an old, tough warhorse. So all the best to JR as he's on the mend in the hospital right now.
Yep.
What did you boys have for your matches of the week?
Well, sir, what did you have, Brian?
All right. Well, I got a couple from Monday. I enjoyed, or Monday and Friday. I enjoyed Lyra versus Io, like we talked about earlier. And from Friday, I really enjoyed Bianca versus Tiffany Stratton. And I think we don't talk enough about the fact that Tiffany Stratton is so damn new at this that it is really impressive what she's able to do in the ring.
Oh, that was Friday Night SmackDown. Yeah. So that was the best match on the card. Probably the best match on Raw or SmackDown for the week last week. So, that was what a great way to start SmackDown, too, by the way.
So I got both those. My third from last night, Kyle O'Reilly, Aleister Black. So different than what they're doing with the Muay Thai stuff, but I really enjoyed the two of them in the ring.
Kyle O'Reilly screams tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you say it out loud. Kyle O'Reilly, heavyweight champion. Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, you like the in-ring, but still, what's been holding Kyle O'Reilly back? The personality. What we know who you are, but what are you besides the 5-star match?
Right. No, that's fair. And the promos are okay, but they're not great.
Yeah. It's very Canadian.
I had Carmelo versus Randy from SmackDown. I like the way that show closed out. I thought that was really good. And especially because we talked about with Carmelo when he first popped in and had that match against when he had it against Cody, and he was kind of I thought that was a nice way to redeem himself, to get in the ring with another guy, seasoned veteran, and put on a really good main event of SmackDown on Friday.
Guys, I'm going to use a sports metaphor when we talk about Gunther versus Jey Uso. So in wrestling tradition, Rich, Greensboro, North Carolina, when I watched Gunther take on Jey Uso on Monday night, you know what I saw? Gunther was like a team coming into an arena of your favorite team and just dominating to the point where it's quiet, right? That's what it was. It's kind of like a Bulls game in which, Golden State's you shoot a lot of threes and you're just like, oh. The Bucks are playing, and it's like whoever the opposition is, it's like, oh my God, just relentless offense. That was Gunther. Like, he put together like a 5-minute flurry, and the fans said nothing. They rooted for Jey Uso, but they're like, what are we gonna do here? Like, he just kept going. It wasn't 50-50. It was Gunther just trying to roll. 30 seconds, Gunther. Okay, I gotta put this match again. 15 seconds, Gunther. Okay, we gotta put him to sleep. And we're off.
We'll see you on Friday in Jeddah.
I mean, look how. But that's what I know. I don't know if you guys noticed it or took it the same way, but there was like a 5-minute section of activity for Gunther where the crowd was just like, I don't know what to do.
I mean, that crowd felt dead all night. But like, do we blame Gunther? Or is there something with like Jey Uso that's missing with him as a single star?
Wins.
Well, okay, that could be a good one.
I think it's the wins. I mean, I don't think the crowd seems to be into him.
Yes.
They love his promos. They love the yeet entrances in WWE. They just don't let him win any big matches.
He's the Raw version of LA Knight at this point. Like, it's a catchphrase. He's going to sell shirts, and then he's going to have his back on the mat.
I mean, they weren't beating Gunther on Monday Night Raw. They weren't. And that 20-0 run that Gunther put on Jey Uso, that was all. That took the spirit right out of the crowd. It did.
And again, like, I guess this is a way to keep Gunther in it, but like, Gunther doesn't need to win King of the Ring. No. He was your Intercontinental Champion for 666 days. You want to know why I know that number? Because they repeat it all the time. Every time he's on television, they let me know, which again, they should, but you should be able to, hey, I was the most dominant Intercontinental Champion of all time. You should be able to parlay that. He's already over. Let's get somebody else over. You could have gotten Jay over there. Like, a win for Jay would have been huge. Like, Jay versus Tama Tonga, like, for the King of the Ring would have been huge. And you can keep the bloodline story going between the two, even though they're on different brands, and do all these different things. But it just, again, as much as I love the concept of King in the Ring, and as much as I think that pay-per-view is going to be, premium live event is going to be fun, I feel like the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments were missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Orange and Ospreay versus Trent and Roddy last night. Also, fun way to start the show.
Yeah.
It was a banger. It was.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Very physical.
Yeah. Again, I just also loved the way that again, it's the little things that AEW is doing that makes the product a little bit better. Starting the match with Orange going, screw it. I don't care about the tag match. I just want to get my hands on Trent. This is my opportunity to get my hands on Trent, and starting the match that way with those two brawling on the outside of the ring while the match is actually started inside of the ring, I thought was a little touch that was nice to add to the feud that is going to be Trent versus Orange Cassidy.
Also, it's in the Ospreay category, so it stands alone. Ospreay and Shane Taylor on Saturday. Like, just what he does. Like,
what is Tony doing? Is he just picking names out of a hat for Ospreay and Brian? Like, yes. That's what he's doing? Okay, this week, Ospreay. Oh, Shane Taylor, best of luck to you. All right, Bryan Danielson. Okay, what do we got here? Satnam Singh? You sure you don't want to throw them back? No, here you go, Brian. Satnam Singh. Main event. Go ahead.
And the two of them are excited about it, I feel like. Like, all right, let's see what we can do with the big man there.
Yeah.
Even with Sanjay breaking a table by himself.
I'm going to tell you something. That first match with Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong, as you said. That saved that show because that show sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
It was not a great Dynamite. It was not, and that was just the cherry on the crap sundae. The way Sanjay Dutt broke the table by himself. WCW 2001, everybody. That's what that was. And I just got so disgusted. I just shook my head. I'm like, really? You had a table spot set up for Danielson or Satnam, whatever, and it just breaks. And it's just like, it just reminded me of the nightmare that was the end of WCW. Shit like that would happen. And by the way, if you talk about WCW, the blood spot. Yeah, they actually nailed it this time.
It hit. What else do you need?
It wasn't Kevin Nash. It was to his left in WCW in 2000. And actually, they nailed the blood spot. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, that's
right.
something that Cope's been begging for, right? Like he wanted to do that in WWE, and they're like, "No, what are you talking about? We can't do that here." Like, you think the Brood is still a thing? Come on, man.
Do we get Gangrel Sunday night?
I think so. If we're getting the blood spot, I think Gangrel shows up because that's another thing that Copeland wanted and was told that, no one's going to remember Gangrel when, in fact, we all remember Gangrel.
I love the Brood so much. It was so different and so cool. That's probably why I'm a Copeland fan, is because of that. Because it was so of a different presentation, and he spun out of that. And also Christian spun out of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's really awesome.
You should come. Gangrel's a South Florida guy. Anytime you want to see him work the Indies, I'll get you in the door.
What a guy.
Come on down.
What a guy. Just
You're
keep that in
welcome.
mind next time you happen to be, down in the South Florida area there, Mr. Hood. Make sure if you listen to this, we thank you if you just listen to this on the podcast, but also check out, we've got the video stream, comment, subscribe on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@GoodKarmaWrestling. JHood's going to have some good stuff from GCW this weekend going up there. We've always got some, you never know, we're going to throw some fun videos up there as well. So make sure you subscribe and you comment on our YouTube page. Enjoy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. It's going to be a fun weekend of wrestling. We'll break it down all right here next week on GKW.